How you doing? This is Gary Bledsoe. I want to come to you today to just talk to you about some things that's been on my mind, some things that's been going on through my head, based on conversations I've had with people and conversations with myself also. And one thing that I came and I determined from that is that people are defined by the stories that they tell themselves each and every day, each and every hour, each and every minute, each and every second, based on the stories that were told to them over time. Now, what I mean by that is for example, if there's a person that grew up, let's just say in a not so good part of the neighborhood, their parents were, unsuccessful. They, went to a job every day. They struggled. They were living paycheck to paycheck, and they didn't control their thoughts and didn't control their mind. And they decided that they wanted to tell their children or tell one of their they have a single child. In particular, they wanted to tell the child each and every day, especially when times are tough during the month or when the bills are not being paid, you're not going to be anything. You're not going to be anything. You know what? You're going to turn out to be just like me. You're going to turn out to be just like me. And you know what? What's going to happen is over time, that person's going to hear that over and over and over to the point where they're no longer living with their parents, they're an adult, and they're going to believe that story. See, because we are definitely defined by the stories we tell ourselves each and every day based on the stories that were told to us over time. And now what that person's going to do is when they go out and they try to do something, perhaps try to start a business, perhaps try to get an advancement in their career, try to do something very powerful, guess what's going to happen? When they run into that one rejection, that little small rejection or obstacle, they're going to always be reminded, and they're going to always hear that voice of they're not going to be anything. And guess what's going to happen? They're going to start telling themselves that over and over. I'm never going to be anything. You know what? It's not meant for me, and it's not meant for me. See, I love the example that was given in The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith that played the character. And I remember they was on the roof, I believe it was a roof, and he was with his son, and he was shooting the ball, and he kept saying, hey, you need to stop doing that. You need to stop doing that. You're never going to be anything. And then Will Smith thought about it for a second. His character, he thought about it, and he said, you know what? I'm doing exactly what I'm telling my son a story, and eventually I want my son to believe that story. And you know what? He rewrote himself. He rewrote the story. He told his son, don't ever let anybody stop you from what you want. You have a dream, you protect it, you fight for it, and you go for it. See, this is what you need to do. I just gave you a statement, a true statement of exactly how every human being is defined and how we define ourselves, how our personality develops, how our characteristics develop based on the stories that were told to us over years and the stories we tell ourselves. Now, I also gave you an example of how that happens, how that develops. But what I want to do is I want to give you 4 strategies, 4 tips that's going to help you do one most important thing of all. And you know what that one thing that you need to do? You have to learn how to rewrite your brain pattern. Rewrite the stories that were told to you and rewrite the stories you tell yourself that was told to you by others. You need to learn to rewrite your brain. See, for years, I had to learn to rewrite. I grew up in the South Bronx. I grew up and I loved the South Bronx. However, the conditions back then wasn't so great. I lived with my mother. She was a single parent. She struggled. She had 2 kids. 3 kids. It was really, really tough for us and everything. And I could have, I heard on numerous occasions, and I know she didn't mean to do it, but at the time she did it. She told me stories that were not so good. Told me stories that I wasn't going to make it, that we wasn't going to do anything. But you know what I learned to do? I said, you know what? I'm going to learn something inside of me decided to tell me that I'm going to rewrite my stories. I'm going to rewrite the story I tell myself based on the stories that was told to me over the years. I said, I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm going to use what I'm learning now, which has been taught to me over years based on the 4 strategies that I'm going to give to you right now. And it's helped me to become the positive person that I am today. The positive person. And I want to thank everybody that does see this, that always tells me, thank you for your positive posts. Thank you for your positive sayings. Thank you for your positive quotes. Because, all I'm doing is giving to you what was not given to me, but what I learned over the years. And I love it, and I'm so happy that I'm doing it. But let me tell you the 4 strategies. The number 1 strategy you need to do is you need to learn to control your thoughts. That is the most important. That's one characteristic, one personality, one gift that we have as humans that no other animal on this planet, on planet Earth has. We have the ability to choose. We have the ability to control our thoughts. See, you need to learn how to ignore failure messages. See, failure messages are going to come to you from every way, especially if you were told that these stories, these failure messages for all your life. They're going to come to you when you run into that obstacle, when you run into that failure, when you run into that rejection. It's going to come to you. But you know how you can get rid of it? You got to control your thoughts by replacing the negative thoughts with positive ones. If they say it takes 21 days to remove a habit and to start a new one, 21 days, well, that's what you need to do. You need to, every time a negative thought comes into your head, you need to replace it with a positive one. You know what? I didn't get the job, but you know what? You look at it like this and you say, hey, maybe that job wasn't meant for me. I didn't get the promotion. Hey, you know what? Maybe that wasn't meant for me. See, you know what happens? When you do that, believe it or not, you're going to start seeing the world a lot different. You're going to learn how to understand that life is 10% of what happens to you, but 90% of how you deal with it. You have to learn how to control your thoughts. When you start controlling your thoughts, you start to you pull out the pen inside your head and you start rewriting the stories that were told to you over the years, so that way you learn how to tell yourself a new story. You have to learn how to tell yourself a new story, because if you don't, then you're going to be stuck in that negative cycle. Number 2, you have to learn how to pursue positive personal development. I tell you, this is the number 1 thing. Well, I don't like to read. Well, I don't like to listen to CDs. Then you know what? You're going to be stuck in that negative cycle for the rest of your life. You have to learn how to pursue personal positive development. You can here's some ways that you can do that. Read 10 pages of a good book. A good positive motivation book. You know, Think and Grow Rich. Something that's going to help you. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Things that's going to help you become how to win friends and influence people. Think of these positive books. Now, I'm not talking about no Nancy Drew mysteries and no, everybody likes this book now, and I'm not disrespecting the book. And 50 Shades of Grey. Hey, that's great if that's what you want to do. But you have to think about it. Is that what you're putting in your brain? If that was putting in your brain, is that going to make you a more positive person, a more better person, or is it going to make you a more negative person, or is it going to make you just stay neutral? See, I'm always seeking to become better than what I am, and that way, one of the ways I do that is I read 10 pages of a good book a day. Or if I don't read 10 pages of a book every day, what I like to do is I call it Drive Time University. And I got this from a good guy. I love his book, The Slight Edge. That's another book that you should be reading. Jeff Olson, I love this. I love doing what he says. He says, turn your car into a Drive Time University. Listen to a half an hour, 30 minutes, a minimum of 30 minutes. Listen to a positive CD. While you're driving, you don't need to listen to what's your favorite genre of music. You can listen to that also, but you know what? Replace it with 30 minutes. 30 minutes on your way to work, on your way from work. Replace it with 30 minutes of listening to something very, very positive. Something positive that's going to help you. You know, before I go to the gym to go exercise, I never listen to, I love hip-hop and I love R&B, but you know what I do? I listen to a positive motivational CD before I go to the gym. On my iPod, I plug my iPod into my car, into the jack, and then I listen to it on the way there. Now, while I'm in the gym, I'll listen to my hip hop and my R&B. However, I love to listen to something that's going to give me that strength to tell me I'm going to be a champion. I'm going to be somebody. See, because I'm learning to rewrite the stories that was told to me from others over time, and I can't let that happen anymore. And so you need to also attend all positive self-building events. I always say you need to attend an event that's going to change your life at least twice a year. At least twice a year. Some people do it more, some people do it less. But at least twice a year, if it's something, whether it's a church event, whether it's a community event, whatever it is. And I'm not talking about no party or anything like that. I'm talking about something where you're going to grab some information and it's going to teach you to become a better you. This is what I've done over the years, and this is what has helped me change to write the stories that I told myself based on the stories that were told to me. Number 3, you need to learn how to surround yourself with people who are going to lift you up. Surround yourself with people who are going to push you higher, push you to that next level. See, you need to, people that are positive, people that are successful, people that are doing it. See, I have another video on here called Follow the Doers and the Doners. And what I mean by this, you want to follow people who have done it already or follow people who are doing it. See, this is so true what they say. You become an average of the 6 people that you hang around with. The 6 people you stay in communication with. And you got to tell yourself right now, who are the 6 people that I hang with? Is it negative Ned and negative Nita? I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be like them. I don't want to have the worm of the dust mentality where everything that happens to me always is like, woo, woe is me, woe is me. I want to be around people who are going to say, you know what, you're a champion. You're a champion, Gary, and I believe in you. I believe in you. Because what I'm doing at that point is, I'm borrowing their belief system until I develop my own belief system. So I'm telling you right now, if you're listening to the sound of this, of my voice, you are a champion. You need to learn how to tell yourself that story so you can rewrite the stories you tell yourself that were told to you over years. You need to learn how to surround yourself with people who have similar goals. If that's a business partner or that's somebody in your job who's also seeking for a promotion, you need to surround yourself with people that are going in the same direction as you. And you need to really do that. Now I'm going to give you strategy number 4. And I'm going to tell you this is the most powerful strategy of them all. The most powerful strategy of them all. If you do not implement this strategy, number 1, number 2, and number 3, controlling your thoughts, pursuing positive personal development, and surrounding yourself with people who are going to lift you up are going to be eliminated. If they will not work, you need to 150% disassociate yourself with people who are negative and people who are going to stop your process of you rewriting the story you tell yourself. See, I don't care who you are. We are humans. You are not that strong where you can be in a negative environment for so long and you're not going to wind up becoming a negative environment. For so many years, I worked in jail. For like 9.5 years, I worked in the jail system in New York City, right? And I saw people become negative all the time, negative. And I'm not talking about my co-workers or anything, but, you know, I'm talking about, and it could have been some co-workers, but I'm talking about become negative because they were in an environment. I remember walking. Reason why I didn't do a full 20 years there is because I remember walking in that environment. And I can almost cut with a knife. I can cut the negativity that was going on in there. And I knew something inside of me told me that I can no longer be in that type of environment. I can no longer be there at all. I need to be somewhere where I'm going to be positive, where I'm going to be surrounded by positive stuff. And that's how I got introduced to network marketing, because they taught me I can be somebody. They didn't teach me that my job was to go to work, pay bills, come home, and that was it. I had to learn how to disassociate myself with people who were negative and people who were going to stop my process of rewriting my brain. I wanted to rewrite it. And it took me about 2.5 years for me to rewrite my brain from the things that I was taught all out throughout my life, so I can learn how to be the person that you hear in front of you today. So I'm telling you, you are a champion. And people are defined by the stories they tell themselves, based on the stories that were told them over years. Tell yourself a positive story. Thank you.